Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. I'm Lauren LaSalle, and I'm a former therapist. I'm a highly sensitive person and a self-care and empowerment coach for highly sensitive people. My goal for this podcast is to create a feeling of community, to be a supportive place for HSPs, and to normalize our experiences as highly sensitive people. Because I'm pretty sure we've all spent way too much time feeling like we're weird or don't fit in. Well, guess what? Here, you fit in perfectly. This podcast will give you tools to better understand yourself, to help you learn how to care for yourself as an HSP, and to start viewing your sensitivity as a strength. Thank you so much for joining me, and let's begin. Welcome back to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. I have my voice back mostly. I still have a little bit of throat stuff going on from having bronchitis for a few weeks. It's decided to just keep on lingering, so bear with my voice. But anyway, I feel like I have enough voice. My throat feels well enough that I can record an episode. Thank goodness. So first, I wanted to tell you that it's coming up. I am approaching the launch of the Sensitive Self-Care Collective, and I've been hard at work working on it, preparing for the launch. I have never been so excited about a program that I've created before. I think this is going to be really awesome. It's a great way to connect with other HSPs. It's a great way to work with me, not in a one-to-one setting, although I will still be available to give you feedback to answer your questions. And you can learn all about what you need to do for self-care as a highly sensitive person. And of course, you can take what feels good to you, things that you will use, and you can leave anything that either doesn't work or that you feel isn't right for you. So it's going to be a really great program. I am so excited. I will be announcing the launch soon enough. I feel like this is the program that people have been asking for. I've been taking everyone's suggestions and things that they want to know about, and I've put a lot of that into this program. So stay tuned if you want to know right when it comes out. Of course, I will announce it on the podcast, but you can also join my email list on my website, laurenlasallecoaching.com, if you want to know first thing when it is launching. Today, I am going to talk about self-talk. So, as it might sound, self-talk is how you talk to yourself. So those are thoughts that you have. Sometimes they're just automatic. We don't even consciously think of it. It just sort of pops into your head. And the interesting thing about how we speak to ourselves is that it's often way harsher than we would ever talk to probably anybody else in our lives. So sometimes we have, especially when we're feeling maybe really tired or overwhelmed or not in a good mood, we have those little thoughts that pop up, and sometimes they make you question if you're good enough, if you're smart enough, if you're capable enough, if you're just enough in general. I know everybody has experienced this, and as a highly sensitive person, I think our inner dialogue can be a lot at times. It can be constant. It can be really powerful, and feeling things very deeply, especially if they're things that aren't true about us, negative things toward ourselves, it can be harmful. So the way that we speak to ourselves has a huge impact on our mood, on our energy, and just on our overall well-being. So self-talk is a big part of how we see ourselves and how we see the world around us. And it has a big impact on how we connect to ourselves, how we connect to other people, just everything about our lives. Self-talk is so important. And so if you're having negative self-talk, that can keep you stuck in patterns of self-doubt that prevent you from stepping into your full potential to be able to do things that you want to do. And I'm sure we've all thought at one point or another, I'm too sensitive, I need to toughen up, I always mess things up, I'll never be as good as so-and-so. Why can other people do this and I can't? Why is doing this so hard for me? So when we have these kinds of thoughts on repeat, these thoughts start to shape how we feel and how we act, and we usually don't even realize it. We don't usually realize the impact that these thoughts have on our lives. But the good news is that there are things that you can do to change this. There are things that you can do when you have these negative self-talk thoughts going on, that you can flip them around and reframe them into something that is more helpful. So here are 5 tips to help you start engaging in more constructive self-talk. The first tip is to catch it in action. So the first step, as it is with a lot of things, is to become aware of it happening. So start noticing when you have any negative or unhelpful thoughts, and they might just pop up sneakily. So start to notice those. You can even log these thoughts in a journal or keep track of them on your phone, whatever works for you, because writing the thoughts down can help you recognize patterns that you have. It can help you recognize if you are having similar types of thoughts, maybe when these thoughts are coming up. It can be very, very helpful to actually see them on paper or, in your phone. Tip number 2 is to challenge the thought. So once you've identified a negative or unhelpful thought, you can ask yourself, is this thought really true? Because most of these negative self-talk thoughts that we have are exaggerated, or they're based on past experiences that we've had or past feelings that have come up for us that no longer apply to this situation. So challenge these thoughts by looking for evidence that contradicts the negative or unhelpful thought. Like, for instance, one that I used to have was I just sort of automatically, a lot of the time, thought that people didn't like me. I don't know why. I'm sure it was based on something from growing up. But I would just automatically think that. And so I had to start going in and saying, is that true? What evidence do I have that this person doesn't like me? Usually I had nothing. It was just sort of, I don't know. I didn't like myself when I was having these thoughts. So I'm sure that's more of what it was. It was more about how I was feeling toward myself than how the other person was feeling about me. Tip number 3 is to reframe the thought. So you are going to replace the unhelpful thought with something that is kinder and more balanced. So instead of saying, I'm too sensitive, you could say, my sensitivity is a strength that helps me connect deeply with others. So reframing what the thought is to make it more helpful to you. And if you have a thought that you're not sure how to reframe, I would love to help you with that. You can DM me on Instagram or shoot me an email, and that is something that I would love to help you with. So feel free to do that if you would like. So tip number 4 is talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. So imagine how you would speak to a friend going through the situation that you are in, and then offer that same compassion to yourself. Give yourself permission to be human, give yourself permission to make mistakes, and to grow from them. I have had a lot of clients that have found this really, really helpful because it really takes that, the sting, the negativity out of it, because you say so many things to yourself that are so harsh that you would not say to a friend. So being able to think of how you would comfort a friend in this situation can be so helpful. And then you say it to yourself instead of the friend, because be your own friend. Tip number 5, of course, is practice, because just like everything, changing your self-talk does not happen overnight, but it does get easier the more you practice. So the more you consciously choose constructive thoughts and you can reframe those unhelpful thoughts, the more that will just become your default mode. The more you will be able to just automatically have more helpful thoughts. So try all of those steps, see what you think. I would love to hear from you how you felt those steps worked, how you felt after doing them. So even just one small shift can make a big difference in how you feel. And keep in mind that your inner voice should be a cheerleader for you, not a critic. And you have the power to rewrite your narrative. So use that power. Do it to help yourself. It might be a lot of work, but it is definitely worth it in the long run. I have had to do a lot of work on that in my life. And I can honestly say that it has probably made one of the biggest differences in my life. I am in a much better place than I was several years ago because I was able to look at those negative thoughts and challenge them and reframe them. And now it sort of is just automatic for me most of the time. Not always, of course, but it is so, so helpful. So I would love to hear what you think about this. And if you have noticed one area where you have noticed negative self-talk creeping in, let me know. And especially if you need help with this, I would love to DM or email with you. Seriously. I love working on thoughts and mindset work with other HSPs because that has been one of the areas, like I said, where I have done the most work personally. So I am here to support you. I am wishing you lots of self-compassion, and I will see you in next week's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. You can help support the podcast by taking a minute to rate and review it, share a favorite episode with a friend, or become a subscriber on Patreon at patreon.com/highlysensitivepodcast. Visit laurenlassalcoaching.com for free resources, information about my coaching programs, and to join my email list. You can connect with me on Instagram at selfcarewithlaurenlassalle or email me at lauren@laurenlassalcoaching.com.